sun dips below the horizon, the once vibrant streets of Rome are shrouded in eerie darkness. The shopkeepers hastily lock up their doors and windows, seeking refuge within the safety of their homes. The night belongs to the sinister beings that lurk in the shadows, the thieves, scammers, and other nefarious characters. But in ancient Rome, the night held an even darker secret. It was a time of temptation and peril, where anything was possible, and nothing was too unthinkable. Welcome to Rome by Night, a world where lunatics and scum reign supreme. The poet Juvenalis cautioned that anyone venturing out after dinner without making a will was a fool, and for good reason, as the darkness provided the perfect cloak for illicit activities, best kept hidden from the light of day. The wine bars and brothels awaken from their slumber, and the prostitutes come out to play. The rich and the poor alike squander their wealth on forbidden pleasures, but danger lurks around every corner, reaching even the wealthy in their opulent villas, where the threat of fires is ever present. The night in ancient Rome was a different world, one full of darkness and uncertainty. While the countryside retired early and rose with the sun, the city's inhabitants led a vastly different existence. Julius Caesar's prohibition on daytime movement meant that the night became a chaotic hub of activity, where the sounds of horse hooves and whips and the clatter of wooden wheels on cobblestones reverberated through narrow streets. The noise was so deafening that it cost lives, as Juvenalis once wrote. Only the wealthy residents in their secluded villas had a chance of sleeping undisturbed. The less fortunate were besieged by thick smoke from bathhouses and coal basins, used for heating and cooking their homes. The wealthy burned charcoal, while the poor had to resort to dried manure, leading to suffocating clouds of smoke enveloping the city. The absence of fire escapes in ancient Rome made it easy for sparks from open fire pits to ignite wooden houses, leading to catastrophic consequences. Death was always lurking in the darkness, waiting to strike. But the night also holds a seductive allure, beckoning the recklessly curious to explore the dangers that lurk in the darkness. The wine bars and brothels are a refuge for those seeking excitement and danger, and as the night wears on, the line between safety and peril becomes increasingly blurred. For in the world of ancient Rome by night, anything is possible, and terror lies around every corner. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, the ancient city of Rome transformed into a dark and ominous world. Once bustling alleyways emptied, as shopkeepers hastily locked their doors and windows, retreating to the safety of their homes. As the last of the daylight vanished, the night belonged to the thieves, scammers, and other shadowy characters who thrived in the darkness. But danger and excitement also beckoned to those who were tempted by the lure of the night. Wine bars and brothels became havens for those seeking forbidden pleasures. Even the most cautious were tempted by the allure of the dark. Amidst the shadows, another vice flourished: gambling. Hidden dens, disguised as wine bars, hosted illegal dice games in the back rooms. Although gambling was strictly prohibited by law, the temptation of quick riches was too much for many to resist. People risked everything, even their hard-earned money, in these legal gambling dens hidden in the seedy pubs. Dice was the most popular game, and people from all walks of life would gamble recklessly, despite the risk of losing everything. Every denarius placed on the table was equal to the daily wage of an average worker. Yet, the temptation of winning big blinded them to the danger of losing it all. Gambling raids were common, and those caught red-handed begged for mercy from the officials. But despite the risks and dangers, gambling continued to be a favorite pastime for the Romans. Even the emperors themselves were known to be addicts. Augustus, the revered emperor, shamelessly admitted to losing an enormous fortune of 20,000 sesterces in a dice game during a religious festival. The mad emperor Caligula was also a gambling addict, known for cheating to win. He even ordered the killing of the richest people in Gaul and the confiscation of their properties to replenish his wealth. One emperor, who was notorious for his love of gambling, was Didius Julianus. In 193, he bought the throne, proclaiming himself emperor and moving into the palace on Palatine Hill. According to Cassius Dio, as the corpse of his predecessor grew cold, Julianus began eating and gambling with his companions. The eerie silence of the empty city only amplified the sounds of the raucous revelry, as if the spirits of those who died in pursuit of the same vice were still present, haunting the halls of the palace. Rome is a city that never sleeps, and the night belongs to a special class of women, the prostitutes. Their alluring, seductive power entices men from all walks of life, even the wealthy bourgeoisie who claim to look down upon them. Despite their dishonorable reputation, prostitution was widely accepted in Rome. In fact, some argued that it was healthy for men to satisfy their needs in this way. However, as the night wore on and the shadows grew longer, it became clear that something more sinister was at play. The Subora district was where the most infamous brothels were located, and where the absolute underclass resided. Here, prostitutes could be purchased for the price of a cheap glass of wine, luring in potential customers with phallic-shaped oil lamps. Their revealing clothing, heavy makeup, and cheap perfume created an intoxicating aroma that drew men in. But once inside the brothel, they became trapped. These women were not just offering pleasure, they were offering a deadly trap. Many were slaves, forced into prostitution by their owners, and subjected to unspeakable horrors. Even free women sometimes turned to prostitution, out of desperation. The market where they were sold to pimps and groped was described by philosopher Seneca, but the true horror lay in what happened behind closed doors. As the night deepened, and the sounds of the city faded away, the streets became dangerous. The prostitutes and their pimps ruled the night, preying on those who were too weak to resist their alluring power. The dangers of the night were too great to ignore, and those who ventured out became easy prey. While prostitution may have been regulated by the authorities, the reality of the conditions under which the women worked was far from idyllic. Juvenalis, the renowned poet and satirist, described how Messalina, the infamous wife of Emperor Claudius, would visit brothels every night, hiding her true identity behind a blonde wig. The stench of old dirty sheets would fill her nostrils as she sold herself to the highest bidder. She would leave only when the pimp had sent his ladies away, her face covered in black soot from the lamp. The life of a prostitute in ancient Rome was short and brutal, with many working under deplorable conditions, but they were not the only ones at risk in the city's night streets. As the pubs and theaters emptied out, gangs of young, often noble Romans roamed the streets, looking for defenseless victims to raid and beat up for fun. The notorious Emperor Nero himself led one such gang, dressing up as a slave and raiding lone nightwalkers with his comrades. Even Emperor Otho followed in his footsteps, taking pleasure in beating up people on the streets. Despite the danger, the temptations of the night drew many Romans, both rich and poor. The wealthiest could indulge in luxury girlfriends or call girls, while those staying in inns or visiting local bars could hire hotel ladies or pub girls. But the lowest class of prostitutes were the circulate or streetwalker, who walked the streets with no room to take their customers. As the night deepened, the violence and danger only intensified, leaving behind a trail of beaten and bruised individuals who were lucky to make it home with the few teeth left in their mouths. Even the poor were drawn to the pleasures of the night, with nothing too crazy to indulge in. But what lurked in the shadows was even more terrifying than the dangers of the night streets. As the wind howled through the empty alleys, whispers of unspeakable horrors echoed through the darkness. The ghosts of prostitutes passed, and victims of the gangs still roamed the streets, seeking revenge on those who had wronged them. The darkness of the night in ancient Rome was not just a time of pleasure and danger, but also a time of fear and horror. Thank you for watching our video about the dark secrets of ancient Rome at night, from the alluring temptations of wine bars and brothels to the danger of illicit gambling and the shady world of prostitution. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating insights into the mysteries of history.